Hello, heavy bag enthusiasts. Today we are talking about my book, Heavy Bag Training for Boxing, Mixed Martial Arts, and Self-Defense. Now this is actually book number 1 in a 3-part book series. Let's check it out. So this is the first book in the series, Heavy Bag Training. Now it's available on Amazon in paperback, Kindle, and audiobook edition. It's approximately 160 pages, and this is your front cover, this is your spine, and this is the back of the book. So inside we have 6 chapters. We have a section on resources, glossary of terms, and about a little bit of information about me. Chapter 1, the heavy bag. So this chapter basically gives a little bit of an introduction on how the heavy bag came to be, the different types of bags to choose from. I also give you some really good tips on choosing and purchasing the right heavy bag for your needs and where you can find them. Then I get into some of the benefits of heavy bag training, everything from cardiovascular conditioning, muscle tone, developing fighting technique, of course, to stress reduction and anger management. Chapter 2 is all about getting started. So what I wanted to do with this chapter is help you find the correct place to train so you can have really intense workouts. So I give different examples of that. I talk about hanging the bag, the proper way to hang it, using heavy bag hangers, and also about the different types of equipment that you can use to help set your bag up. Now, as you can imagine, I also talked about the proper height of the bag. The reason why I'm laughing is because I did a short video on what is wrong with this picture, and it was me standing next to a heavy bag that was just way too low. So of course we want to avoid that from happening. So this section talks about the proper way and the proper height for the heavy bag. And of course lots of safety tips so you don't incur any injuries. And then we get into gear, such as bag gloves, boxing gloves, and also you have to have a section on how to use hand wraps. And of course, I give detailed instructions on how to wrap your hands for the heavy bag. And finally, here in this chapter, we talk about using an interval workout timer and how that can really benefit heavy bag workouts. Chapter 3 is the fighting stance and footwork. So it's very important. You don't just want to, face the heavy bag and start pounding on it. You really have to work with a good reference point or a good fighting structure. And a fighting structure is your stance. So I talk about the important elements that make up a really good stance for self-defense and also for heavy bag work. And then, of course, I give examples of what not to do. And there I am demonstrating a good fighting stance. Yeah, not too shabby. And then finally, I talk about how it's important to move around the bag. The worst thing you could do is stand directly in front of a bag and just pound on it mercilessly. You really got to move around. You got to work on your footwork skills, not just for heavy bag work, but for self-defense, MMA, or boxing. You got to move. Chapter 4 is how to throw a punch. It's really important to learn the proper way and the proper hand configuration when throwing a punch. More importantly, on something as resistant as a heavy bag, because I can't tell you how many people I have seen just bust their hands up so badly because they did not have proper hand clenching technique. So this chapter talks all about that. And then I talk a little bit about some of the conditioning you can do to strengthen your hands so you'll have a really nice solidified fist when delivering the blow. And then I talk a little bit about the punching mitts and how they differ from actual heavy bag work. Chapter 5 is all about heavy bag techniques. So I begin in this chapter talking about the different fighting ranges, which is of course kicking range, punching range, and then grappling range. So this goes through all the different kicking techniques in kicking range. And then of course we have our punching range, and I talk about the different punching range techniques, and I give step-by-step instructions on how to deliver these blows. And also here, I make a distinction about using the jab for street self-defense and how we do not use a jab in the street. So if you're working on the bag and you're throwing jabs as opposed to something like a lead straight punch, and that's entirely up to you. If you like the jab and you want to get that snappy punch in there, by all means do so. But if you are training for reality-based self-defense, I would replace the jab with something much more devastating, such as the lead straight. And our videos and my books talk about the lead straight in great depth. We got some hooks, uppercuts, demonstrations on uppercuts, a lot of the mistakes people make when delivering uppercut blows. And then finally, the third range of unarmed combat is grappling range. So I talk about the elbow strikes, different types of knee strikes. So the idea in this chapter was to cover all three ranges of combat and the tools associated with them. Chapter 6, heavy bag workouts. So we begin this chapter talking about the 3 heavy bag training methods, such as conditioning, proficiency, and street training. These are 3 training methodologies that are unique to my contemporary fighting arts system. And then I talk about designing a heavy bag workout and the use of time-based workouts. And I give a sample example of a time-based workout. And then I get into discussions about combinations, and I give lots of different punching combinations for you to start off and add to your repertoire of compound attack skills. Then I talk about kicking and punching combinations. So again, it's not just reserved for boxing, and it's not just reserved for MMA. It can also be used for reality-based street self-defense as well. And finally, at the end of the chapter, I have a section for creating your own combinations. This is really important in helping you to make the techniques instinctual. And then finally, some heavy bag workout tips. Towards the end of the book, we have some heavy bag resources that you can further investigate if you want to take it to another level. And of course, like I talk about in all my books, there's a glossary of terms because I want my students and the constant reader to have a very strong working knowledge of the terminology used within my contemporary fighting arts system. And I'm going to just skim through this. And then we have, again, about me, and then some of the books in the back. So that's the book. I'll include a link in the description down below if you want to visit the Amazon page. Also, do you own this book? And what are your thoughts about it? I'd like to hear your comments in the section down below as well. So again, this is book number 1 in our heavy bag training series. Our next video is going to be book 2, which is called Heavy Bag Combinations. As always, I really do value your time. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you at the next video.